Hey, it's me, Amanda G., proud owner of Gojo Auto here in Denver, Colorado, and you are joining me on my podcast, The Possibility Playbook. For years and years, I was told you have so much potential, you could do more, you could be more, and I hated that statement, those statements, until I found my purpose and started living in possibility. So here is where we're going to talk about possibility because everything is possible. Welcome to the Possibility Playbook. So, on this segment, we're going to talk about the first. And what I mean by that is being the first in anything. Some of you are the first to graduate in your family. Some of you are the first to start a business. Some of you are the first to be a doctor or an attorney. Some of you are the first to have a child. Some of you are the first to run a marathon. I mean, there's so many things to accomplish in one life that some of you might be the first to do. For me, the biggest glaring that's real, excuse me. The biggest glaring first for me personally is becoming the first Black woman in Colorado to own a car dealership. With that, there were a lot of firsts to follow. Now, let me tell you about how I got my license. In Colorado, it's a strenuous process. You have to be a 700 credit score and you have to have a $100,000 net worth. They do a background check. There are credit checks, clearly to be a 700. They go 10 years back in your past. And for any of you who have followed my story, you know that 10 years ago did not look like how it does for me right now. And honey, I was a hot mess. We'll just put that out there. And when I went through the process, I applied in August of 2018. Come November, I still hadn't heard if I was getting my license or not. And I prayed and I prayed. And then I got word that I was up for consideration, but I needed to go before the dealer board. Now, in Colorado, the dealer board is regulated by the governor, and it's an office under the governor, excuse me, and it regulates the automotive industry. It's a very intense, highly scrutinized board, and it consists of 8 members and 3 officers of the public, 3 new car dealers, and 3 used car dealers, 3 independent dealers. So that's 9. I apologize. I should know these numbers. I do know these numbers. And I had to go before the board and plead with them and explain why I had some discrepancies on my background, why, although I, met the credit criteria, I didn't quite meet the income criteria or the net worth criteria, which my mother ended up co-signing on my license at the time. And so I had to go before this board. And when I tell you going before this board, it was in person, it was at the DMV because that's where they were housed at the time. It was beyond intimidating. It was all white men, which that visual alone, as a vibrant Afro Latina, my mother's Panamanian, my father's Black, as a vibrant person of color, female person of color in the United States going in front of a board or a panel of all white men is intimidating. Number one, visually, it makes you feel like you don't belong. It makes you feel like they are not going to understand you. And it makes you feel very small, very small. For me, like, I do not represent all of us, but I have spoken to a bunch of us, and the feeling tends to be mutual. And so walking in, I was very, right? Long story short, they approved me. They approved my license. Here I am. And I walked out of that board meeting. I just started crying. I called my mother, was my first call. One of my mentors was my second. And when I sat in my car, I wiped my tears and I said, it's time to get to work. And I instantly felt the pressure of success for not just myself, but for an entire community. And I knew I could not fail because I knew that if I failed, it meant we failed. And I still live in that today, almost 8 years later. I'll tell you, in July of 2020, I received a phone call from the board. They saw a 9 News segment about me and my dealership during Women's Month, and they told me, "You're exactly what we need on this board." And I got teary eyed again because I remembered my experience going in front of that board, and I thought, wow, if I could be a member of that board and represent women and people of color simultaneously, and there were other people like me who wanted to become dealers, and when they saw me, they could feel seen and heard. I got to do that. Like, I have to be on the board. And so I got elected to the board by the governor. Woo woo. And you're allowed to do 2 terms, 2 3-year terms. And 1 year in, it was July of 2021, I was doing our board panel, and it was the day for us to vote for board president. And as I'm looking, because now everything's on Zoom since COVID, as I'm looking, I was like, oh, yeah, I would elect such and such for board president and such for second president, and boom, boom, boom. And this is what I was thinking in my head. And before I knew it, someone said, I would like to elect Miss Gordon as board president. And it shook me to my core because I was not anticipating that. And before I could even say, hold on, somebody said, I'd like to second that. I think she'd be perfect. And on that day, I was elected board president. This was 2021. Okay. Every year we have to revote. And every year my peers have revoted me as board president. And this past week, I was actually elected board president for my final year, my 6th and final year on the board. And it has taught me so much. It's taught me how to use my voice. It has taught me how to represent. It has taught me how to look at things from different angles and not just for what they are from my experience. Because I tell you, if the board didn't give me an opportunity, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I think about all of the people and women who have what it takes, but just didn't have the opportunity. And me being a first allows not just me to do my job, but to allow others to walk through the door after me. It allows me to set the table, and it allows me to bear the weight for those that come next. And I know that God has given me the strength and ability to wear that crown. And I'm so thankful, so thankful. So I do want to say thank you to the board for going on 6 phenomenal years. Thank you to Colorado as a public for allowing me to be your board president. And thank you to that original board 6 years ago that said yes, that said yes. That is something I don't take lightly, something I take very seriously, and something that allowed me to be and become who I am today. So shout out to the first of many, hopefully, and to all of those women who are considering, or people in general, considering getting in the automotive business. It's a phenomenal industry. Do it the right way. Okay, there's tons of success, but you got to follow the rules and regulations, and that's with any business. Okay, know your industry, know your business, and if you are the first, make sure you're setting the table for those that are coming after you. Because as I've said so many times, I may be the first, but I vow to never be the last. There are too many women who deserve a seat at the table, and it's my job to set that table. So cheers to being first. Thank you for tuning into the Possibility Playbook, where everything is possible. Make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time where everything is possible.